welcome to the almost last session of the day. You guys all know me, but I'll say my name for the people that are online. My name is Jessica Livingston. I'm the Executive Director of USJETAA. And I know I've heard JETAA USA and USJETAA used interchangeably throughout the weekend already, and it's understandable that you would do that. So I just wanted to give a presentation so you understood the difference between the two organizations and also why the heck there are two organizations. So I will start with this. This is a lovely infographic that I got from the beloved Matt Gillum. This shows a very nice chart of all of the different players that help support the JET program in various aspects, starting with recruitment, which is all run by MOFA, and the preparation for departure. Then they head over to Japan, where Claire Tokyo takes over. National AJET is a supporting organization at that point as well. They have their time on JET, which, by the way, you can see is not very long. It's fairly short. And now here's all their alumni time, right? Because you are an alumni for a lot longer than you are a JET. So then they become an alumni, and there is JETAA International. Most international chapters have a president, which is also their country representative, because they don't have as many JETs as we do. We have 40,000 JET alumni. We send about half of the JETs over on the JET program. So, and we have a large geographical area. We have 19 chapters. And according to the JETAA international bylaws, that's why we have 3 different country reps, because no one country rep can represent more than, what is it, 8?
9 chapters.
9 chapters, thank you. So that's why we have 3 country representatives. So we have JETAA International, and then we have JETAA USA as part of that. JETAA USA has been around since, gosh, 1995. Is that what you said today? About 1995?
No, JETAA USA as an entity is around 2007.
2000.
Maybe.
Oh, okay.
It was the first time it was used.
Okay.
Mentioned.
So that's when JETAA USA as an entity began. And then, of course, you have Claire and MOFA, which continue to support the JET program, the JET alumni. And starting in 2015, USJETAA came on the scene as well. So why did this happen? There were a couple things that started to happen in the community in general. In 2010, for any of you that were around in 2010, there was a Japanese government panel that targeted the JET program funding for elimination. So a lot of JETs around the world, but especially in the United States, started to work together, and they did all kinds of things. There was an international advocacy campaign, basically. So people were publishing articles in newspapers. This is one that Paige and Jim, I think, put together. So this is the Asahi Shimbun, but they were published in Reuters, Associated Press, Mainichi, Yomiuri, and then there were a lot of briefings that were done for political and government leaders. So there was this sort of national and also international movement, but a lot of it was done in the United States. And this is the first time the community sort of came together to start to do these types of things. But there was no central secretariat to coordinate it, so it was very organic, and it just sort of evolved. So this was the first thing that happened. And then the next year, in 2011, we had the Great East Japan earthquake. And as you all know, JETAA USA responded to that. We had an earthquake relief fund. We raised $89,000 as an organization. But I was actually the country rep during that time. It was super crazy. I did not have a background in fundraising. I also didn't know how to get this money to where it was going to be effectively used in the spirit of JET alumni. So I started reaching out to other people in the community that could help make this happen. And we did come together with the help of the New York chapter. They actually housed the relief fund for us. And we had some other key players of our community help guide the process. So that was the second big thing that happened. Again, the community came together. There was a reason that we came together. We made something happen, but man, it was a big challenge to make that happen. And then that same year at the NatCon in Washington, D.C., after these two things happened, the JET alumni that were the leaders that were at that NatCon they set the goal of deeper institutional engagement with the US-Japan community. They said, we can do something as a community. We recognize this, we have the power to make an impact, and we'd like to do it. So then Colcon, who you have heard about over the course of the weekend, they are a binational group that advises both the US and the Japanese government. They could see all of this happening, all of this activity happening. And they called for greater institutionalization of the national JETAA network. So Paige can talk about that because she was a big force behind that. But seeing what we could do as a community, seeing that we wanted to do something as a community, but that we were really having a hard time with the capacity end of it and the institutional side of it. So they came forward and basically said, hey, this needs to be supported. And then from the next 2 years, so from 2013 to 2015, we built it. We met, we had a working group that was made of leaders in the JETAA community. They came together to figure out how to structure this, what it needed to look like. We canvassed the JETAA community at the chapter level, at the individual level. We basically did 2 years of research to put it together. And then in 2015, we had USJETAA. So I just wanted you to understand how we got to 2 different organizations, because I think that history really, it reveals the purpose behind it. So we're not competing with JETAA USA. We're here to work with them and complement the work that they can do. As you all know, because you are all volunteers yourself, there is a certain level there's a capacity issue when you are all volunteers. There's only so much you can do. And there were like 2 or 3 sessions on burnout, right? So if you are asking your volunteers to be working full time on this stuff, man, you're going to burn them out really, really fast. So, I forgot to show the pictures. The pictures are good. So here's the JETAA Initiative Working Group. So this is, I think Matt Gillum was in this picture somewhere.
Yeah,
and
he's
Sarah.
there.
Yeah, there's a lot of good faces in here. I think
Jim's in there.
Jim's in there. I think I'm on the side that you can't see me. This is Melissa Spooner's hair, right? If anyone knows Melissa Spooner, yeah. So, and then this is when we were established with the assistance and the support of Japan-US Friendship Commission. Okay, so what are we now? So that's where we came from and what are we now? So now we're a 501c3 nonprofit that advances US-Japan relations by supporting US JET alumni and chapters. So we're supporting individuals and chapters via a variety of programs and initiatives. So we run all kinds of stuff to help with this mission. We have 9 board of directors, and we always leave 1 seat open for a JETAA USA country rep because we have that partnership and because it's so important that we work collaboratively. We have 1 full-time staff, that's me. We have 2 to 3 part-time staff or contractors. So those of you that have met Kimberly, raise your hand. She's our part-time, our newest part-time. The office is physically located in Washington, D.C. Paige can walk out her door of her office, and there is the USJETAA desk. If you would ever like to visit, you may, because it's not taken very often, because I live in Denver. So it's mostly operated remotely, but I do go to Washington, D.C. on a regular basis to connect with people there. Our annual operations budget fluctuates, so 125 to 225K a year, depending on the programs, depending on the grants, depending on what's going on. And we are funded by grants, donations, and membership fees. You can be a member of USJETAA without paying a membership fee. It is free for any JET alum. For those of us that have put their blood, sweat, and tears into this organization, or those of us that have the ability to financially support it, we can do that through our membership fees. So for those of you that are paying members of USJETAA, thank you, thank you, thank you. It does make a big difference. So what do we do? First and foremost, I want to point out that we complement and expand on the work that JETAA USA does. So we work with the country representatives. We are able to run initiatives. We're able to do all kinds of things, but they can only do so much in their volunteer capacity. So we're able to take it outside that and go farther with it. We can organize national level programming. So when I think of that, I think of the JET reunions. Who here has been to a JET reunion, JET 30, JET 35? Yes. Who wants to go to JET 40? Everybody's yes. So we also are able to support the national conferences. We have webinars, we have a publication series. So this kind of, we have some events that happen annually or on a regular basis, and some that fluctuate depending on the grants and the initiatives that we're working on. We can execute and support national initiatives. This is really important because the country reps are going to cycle in and out because that's the nature of that position. But the executive director and USJETAA is an organization and institution that will stay. And so we can take some of the initiatives that have been started by country reps or worked on or collaborated with country reps, and we can sustain those. And that's really important because if you don't do that, then the traction falls off, right? And you've just got a bunch of, it's like the tabs that are open on your computer at the end of the day. You're like, oh my God, there's 40 things and I haven't finished any of them, And then we're also here to maintain national and international relationships. I wanted to show pictures. That's right. Here's this is Jet 30 in Washington, D.C. So we are here to maintain national and international relationships. This is Foreign Minister Hayashi. We are a centralized point of contact for the U.S. government. So that means like U.S. Embassy in Tokyo, State Department, for Japanese government, MOFA, Claire, and then also AJET, who some of us were just on a Zoom call with the AJET folks. So we're able to be here sort of for the long haul to have those relationships. And also charitable foundations and people that are looking to work with us. There are a lot of them. We're also here to channel resources to chapters and individuals. So if you are a chapter that has received a chapter grant, a JETAA chapter grant, please raise your hand. Yes, yes, great, awesome. So we are able to take funding from other supporters and donors like Sasakawa, and we are able to parse some of it out and redirect it to chapters so they can do things that they wouldn't normally be able to do with just MOFA or Claire funding. I mean, sometimes you don't know what you want to do in 9 months. That's really hard, So we are able to provide these other resources to help widen that. And we can also offer resources to individuals. One of my favorite things that we do is the micro grant program for current jets. Does everyone know about this? Because this is so awesome. So we work with the U.S. Embassy in Tokyo, and they give us a chunk of change, and we take it and parse it out in smaller bits and pieces to current jets so that they can do programs in their communities that they wouldn't otherwise be able to execute. So this is a program I'm super proud of. I'm very happy that I get to keep working on it. We get a lot of really fun activities. And then we can also offer other support for the JET community. I know in the past there has been leadership visits. Leah, I think, are you in this picture?
Yeah.
Oh, looks like you. Right. Yeah, so if your chapter is having a particular challenge with something and you don't really know how to approach it or what to do with it, we can be here. We've got resources. We have an amazing board that has all kinds of experience, and we can help support you through that. So when we first were canvassing chapters to find out what they wanted from a national organization, this was the feedback we got 10 years ago. They wanted more information sharing and management, 501c3 status to use for large events like when Denver hosted the NatCon, and fundraising abilities, national database. Who here would like a national database that is reliable? Yes, I know we're always everyone raising their hands. Career support, and a single point of contact, stronger branding so that the JET program and the name of JETAA was more widely recognized, and an organization to drive and sustain national initiatives. So that's 10 years ago. And then from the feedback I got in 2023, yes, this was very interesting. So I know I've done a lot of chapter check-ins with Valerie. And the feedback from 2013 was from chapters and alumni individuals. So this feedback is just from chapters. But you will notice that the first 4 are exactly the same, still the same. So this is really great information for me to have because I can see very clearly what the priority areas are, that this is what we need to work on in order to help bolster our alumni community. Some new ones that came up that I thought were really interesting is everyone is talking about how to engage members. And I think this is a lot of post-pandemic issues, but I had a lot of feedback on engaging members and finding programmatic and published content that they could push out to the members. So you don't want to make a newsletter because you don't have the time, but you still need to put a newsletter out and you want some content to put in it, right? So things that you can publish out on social media and get out to your members, but also programmatic support and engagement as well. Things that you can push out to your members and provide value to your members without having to reinvent the wheel or create an entire event. IT and digital communication support has been another one that I've heard from several chapters. I see a lot of people nodding their heads. I know there's been chapters that have lost the credentials to their website, or they've lost their entire database, or they can't get on their social media platforms anymore because somebody walked off with all the passwords. Things like that. Also, Adam and I have talked a lot about Google Workspace and how to expand that so that it's more accessible for chapters that don't have a nonprofit version. So that kind of thing. And then leadership engagement and transition support. So this goes back to the burnout discussion of, oh my gosh, I've been the president for 6 years. I want to pass it on, but there's nobody here to pass it on to. And if I drop it, it will die. And I cannot bear to see my chapter die. So I'm holding on still, you know? And that's obviously interconnected with engaging members. So it was really interesting to see the feedback from 10 years ago and the feedback from this year and be able to compare those and see what issues you all are facing. I could probably talk for a really long time, but it's getting late. So I am always available to connect with in any way, shape, or form. You can email me. I have like a million Meishi, so I'm happy to pass those out as well. Does anyone have any questions before we wrap this up? Do you all understand that there's two organizations? Yeah, two organizations, but but both of them are important, right? Yes, Paige.
Well, I have a question for this auditorium. Are all of you registered as members of USJETAA on the database? If not, please do.
Yeah,
because
that's great.
by being able to sort of grow the membership, we're also able to follow up and support in a variety of ways. So if you are not, please do. Please encourage your chapter members to do it as well. As Jessica said, there is no fee. We've had long conversations about whether there should be. We think that there's good content and value, but we understand that everyone's not in the position to financially support. If you can, great. But it's most important just to know who you are, where you are, and what you're doing, because I was in another session talking about connections, engagement, mentorship. So if we know your area of interest and expertise, we can connect you with somebody else. That senpai kohai conversation that happened this afternoon, it can just grow exponentially. So please visit the website.
It's also interesting too, because each chapter has their own database, right? But those are all siloed. So USJETAA is the only place that I'm aware of where it's nationally brought together. And there are people in our database that are members of USJETAA and live in your regions, but aren't members of your chapter. Sometimes that's by choice, and sometimes it's just like the way the cookie crumbled. So the more people that we have in this centralized database, the more we can help disseminate information about everything. I mean, whether it's your chapter or whether it's national initiatives, whatever. But at the end of the day, if you don't have a database, then you don't have a community. And if you don't have a community, you don't have an organization. You're just hanging out talking to yourself, which is super sad. So this is it's a really foundational piece of the way that the world works now and the way we need to communicate and stay in touch with each other. So that database is quite important. Any questions? All right, I'll stop talking at you. And I'm available to talk with you.
Folks, we are going to ask you, sorry to jump in right away.
Go
but
for it.
We're going to ask you to, as quickly as possible, make your way to Asilomar. Dinner is again at 6. So just a second though. Before that, just wanted to let you know, but tomorrow we're meeting in the Nautilus room. So I will post it on Discord. But if you search for Nautilus or look on your maps that you have from Asilomar, you should be able to find it. It's not too far away from the dining hall. But that is where we will be at 9 a.m. tomorrow. But otherwise, please enjoy your Uber ride or whatever. And thank you so much for today, and thank you to all of our.
I think that was clear. I tried to be simple, but
No, it was admirably pared down and.
oh my gosh, I was like, I got 10 minutes to explain all of this.
Well, like looking at Megan's presentation for tomorrow, it's like